Hello and welcome to my channel once again. This is Mohammed Al-Saidi from MSAIDI'S Visualizers, and today will be actually a long tutorial, a really detailed one that will be presenting and discussing it'll be describing the UI, the After Effects user interface. So let's get right to it. I'll start off by creating a new composition from this dialog, and I'll name it describing the UI. For the sake of the tutorial, it'll be a 1920 by 1080 full HD, 60 FPS frame rate, and a full resolution. Just doesn't matter the duration really, because I'm only describing the UI in this tutorial. Alright, so I'll be describing each single part of the interface that you will get. As you can see, they're divided into a number of parts with the tabs. So now you get the File tab firstly, and you start off with this one. It'll be the most one used, probably with the composition itself. So it'll enable you to get a new project done, save the current project, or import files, multiple files or singular files, of course. You can export from add to render queue, Premiere Pro project, and the Maxon Cinema 4D project. This is the new Cineware tool for Adobe CC. Here you can get the project setting dialog that you can adjust to your liking. Next up will be the Edit tab, and this one will have to do really with the actions you take in the composition. What this one will be specializing in is showing you the history, cut, copy, paste, clear, duplicate, all of these really quick and easy to access shortcuts that you will get. And here you can get the preferences tab. Of course, with the preferences tab, you can remap After Effects in the way that you desire from A to Z. So this is why this one has been in the Edit tab. Next up, you get the Composition tab, and this one you can either create a new composition or, of course, adjust the current composition by hitting the composition settings. For example, changing the frame rate and all of that. You can also get the Add to Render queue that you can also get in the Export from the File tab. With the shortcut, of course, Control M, it gives you the shortcuts really next to it. It shows you here the preview. You can RAM preview it, save a RAM preview, a pre-render. Next up would be the layer, so I'm just going to quickly tab to the next up box just to enable the layer tab to function. So you can get the text, solid, light, camera, null object, shape layer, adjustment layer, Adobe Photoshop layer, and Maxon Cinema 4D or Cineware. And of course you get the effects tab next to it. So I'm just going to quickly create a solid. Doesn't matter anything about it right now. I'm just creating a solid to show you how to reveal some of the things in the effects tab. So this will be the channel. You got the blur and sharpen, color correction. These are like CC pre-made templates from After Effects, from Adobe themselves, that you can just drag in and kind of adjust some values, numerical values in them that you can to your heart's content. You got the Generate tab here that will generate audio spectrums, all of these things, generate gradient ramps, and pretty much all of this. You got the keying for the green screen. You got the noise and green, got the obsolete, perspective, simulation. All of these again are CC pre-made templates. You get the stylize, and you had the glow and mosaic, motion tile, roughness, edges, all of these things that can be used for for layers to quickly adjust them. You get the transition, all of these CC glass wipe, grid wipe. Again, they can be used really quickly for like something like images or shapes to give them interesting transitions. Next up, you got the animation tab, and this one will show you how we'll be focusing on how you behave, how the keyframe behaves, mainly on the keyframe assistant drop-down menu. with the easy in, easy ease out, and sequence layers. Next we got the view tab, and this one will just show you how you actually want your composition to look. It doesn't have to be addressing really how it will look like when you render it, but it will just show you how you're viewing it currently. And this one is actually behaving exactly like the section right under the viewing, yeah, the one that the cursor is pointing at right now. So you got here the proportional grid, the grid. You can enable rulers, guides, all of these things that you just saw in the view. Yeah, here you go, the rulers, and etc. Can show the grid. Yep, it's exactly the same thing, just in a drop-down menu format. You get the viewing options. What else? Switch to 3D view. Okay, the 3D view. This view is used mainly for when you're utilizing or when you're playing around with the camera tool. The usage of this option tab is to show you what exactly the camera can be looking at from different perspectives. So as you can see, you can enable a 4-view look at everything, a 2-view look with a horizontal and a vertical, and a 1-view, of course, a singular look when you're only looking at one point. You can get a top, a left, a front, and a back, and a right, of course, view from everything. So I'm just going to quickly here create a new text object just to show you how it can be used. So I'm just going to make it a 3D layer, and I will create a new camera camera layer. I'll just be showing how the views will work. So now we got an active camera, but we only have one view. So I'm just gonna switch it to a 4-view look. I'll be creating another solid just to show what it actually is looking like. So I'm just gonna put it under the text tool, and I'll give it a gradient. Really. Oh, it won't matter. It will just create I'll show you how it will look like. So as you can see, it's giving you a number of different perspectives, how it will look like from a lot of points. So the right, the top, the front, and the left. And you got the window tab next. This tab will show you which windows or which tabs you actually want to be currently opened, and the ones that you want to view. So for example, the effects controls tab, I'll just like hit a layer right now just to show what it can look like, what it can be used for. So it's the effects tab. It's exactly as the effects, and get the align window, for example. That's the one that I have actually discussed in a previous tutorial. Got the brushes menu, the audio menu. You can play around with the audio formations and frequencies, etc. You can of course hit the same button back again to disable it, or you can enable it again by pressing it again, clicking it again. You got the character tab. You got motion sketch, paint, etc. All of these. It's a really big variety of windows that you can open up. You got the paragraph one again. So this one can be used, of course, with text. It's used with text. For example, with the paragraph tool, it shows you how you can position the text over the range of the composition. You got the preview tab next. This one will show you if you want to make a random preview, a quick play through the composition, listening to the sound, muting the sound. The wiggler, the tracker. So it's really, again, a variety of different windows that you can disable or enable viewing them. Effects controls, again, you can actually disable that one. For example, I'm going to create another text again just to show how the effects controls actually behaves normally. And I'm just going to add a glow effect to my text. Again, that can of course be activated from effect, stylize, and glow. So this is the effects controls tab in action. So it's used basically just as it's used to adjust the effects of the transition or the specific style onto the object, and how you can actually remap it and adjust it to your liking. So of course you got here the project tab. This one would be one of the most important ones, since it arranges everything that you are doing in the composition currently. So for example, if I create a new if I double tap onto this empty box here, I can get I can go ahead and select any file I want, for example. So this is what the project tool is for. Of course, you can also go to File, Import, and File, but yeah, it will still be all stored always in the project tab. Yep, file or multiple files. It'll always be stored in the project tab, and you can always, of course, drag it onto the composition and timeline to adjust or to use the object that you just imported. And so of course you got here the actual toolbar. This one consists of all the main utilities that After Effects has to offer. For example, the move tool, the hand tool, all the handy tools you can use, the rotation tool, the camera options and from the 3D layering effects, the masking, of course the pen tool. These are really handy and useful tools once you know how to use them. And of course, through our series of tutorials, we will be knowing how to use each and every one of these. The text tool, what else? The brush, the eraser tool, the stamp tool. You can see the selection of brushes, brush strokes you get, the brush sizes, all of these things. Of course, now under the View tab, you get a really big range of zooming options onto the composition that you're currently working on. So you get up to 800, I think. Oh, you get up to 1,600% viewing onto the current composition or the view that you're looking at. Again, here the proportional grid. This one is used for text. This title / action safe. It's used for adjusting text and how you actually want it to be centered onto the screen, etc. You get this numerical go to time. It's like a manual playhead, let's say. It's a manual version of this blue playhead that is used to scrub through the composition. So I can just manually type in which second I want, so I can precisely and accurately get to that second and edit anything if I want or adjust. Of course, here you can also disable RGB or alpha, or only highlight RGB or alpha, blue, green, or red separately, or you can get a full. Here you can get an actual snapshot of the composition. This is a transparency layer button that enables you to see what the composition actually look like in case if it was transparent. This is also, of course, so if you want to create a composition or a video that will actually be transparent, as in it will have transparent effects on it. It will not represent an actual solid or something like that. It'll just be a transparent background. Of course, it will still have the objects. This is what the transparency button is used for. So here, as you can see, I have disabled the viewing of the black solid just to show you how the transparency will work. So of course now it's completely transparent, but now if I enable that object, I can only show it as transparent, and that can be handy to show you how the rendering will fully look like in the end. If you're aiming for a transparent view. So now you also got the fast drafts wireframe. You can change the comp size, composition, show map or resolution. You can reset the exposure. This will be okay. Yeah, here. So I popped up my object again, and you can see it's adjusting the exposure. This is a really quick and handy tool again. Yeah, we'll be creating another text tool, and here I'll show you how the character tab behaves. So here you get the resizing factor, where you can of course numerically adjust it, and here you get the difference. I mean the distribution amount. You can play around with the percentage of that to adjust how distributed the letters are from each other, how stretchy they are, how so as you can see, you can actually make ones go up and ones go down, or readjust where their positions are in the composition. And so, of course, you can get the italic forms of the text. What's really good about this tool is that it doesn't have to be in the actual font itself. You can use it from the After Effects options. So here, of course, you got the stroke, the fill color, and all of these options. Here you got the fonts options. You just gotta highlight the part of the text that you want, and then you can change the font, change the regular or medium or thickness of the font itself. And so this is the paragraph. You can precisely adjust how separate you want the text from each other, how compact, how strengthened and accurately distributed each letter is from each other. You got the info tab up here, which shows exactly everything that is happening to the RGB formations of the color and the composition. Next up, you got the preview, and as you can see, again in the info tab, you can see the R is changing differently. The G, it's showing you exactly the percentage of each color is in the composition that the mouse or the cursor is hovering to. So the preview, and you got the effects and presets. This one will enable you to basically to grab out all of these effects that we have come through. We have come about from the effects tab up here. Except you can just drag it out from the effects and presets and release it on any of these objects that you want, or onto the composition itself. So this is where it becomes really handy to use the effects and presets. Also because you got a quick search bar up on the top. As you can see, I can just drag out my glow other than going from to text, effect, and stylize and glow. So this is why the effects and presets is a really handy and quick shortcut representative for the effects tab. Next up, you got the actual timeline of the composition. So here you got the hide eye icons that show you which layers you want to be visible or which layers would be hidden. And of course, you got the zooming perspectives of if you want to go frame by frame or second by second, you got this option over here down there. By adjusting the zooming of into the frames of the composition. You got the graph editor, and so I'm just going to quickly create a really quick animation. Like, it's just a gliding text, just to show how the graph editor tool works. So I'll quickly make them easy ease by hitting either F9 or going to easy ease, and I will head to my graph editor. I will enable my speed graph. You got this whole drop down. I'll just enable my speed graph from it. We will be discussing the graph editor in another tutorial and in detail. So I'm just creating a really quick again glide text effect here, just to show you how the graph editor tool actually works. This will enable you to get the adjustment layers, to make each layer able to be adjusted. This will be the motion blur, the 3D layering. This one will be used for the cameras. You got the animate, fill color, or RGB. You can animate what the colors will be. For example, go from green to blue to cyan, and it'll be based on keyframes, of course. Of course, you got the blur. You got all of these quick effects and characteristics that you can play around with in the Animate tab. The composition flowchart. Of course, the visibility again. You can lock the layers. So, for example, if I don't want the text tool to move anytime in the composition, because by accident you can go around. You're moving something around the composition, and then by accident you move this one really important object that you did not want to move in the first place. So this is why you can use the lock tab. The blue numerical values up on top of the timeline show how much you're into the composition, and what you can actually scrub through that to also reach a specific timing in the composition. So now you got the toggles and switches modes tab, which just breaks it down more if you want to use toggle switches or the modes, again, the motion blur, adjustment layer, or 3D layering. It's used more for stencils and playing around with RGB, playing around with the formation of the objects itself when you're using the toggle switches modes. You've got these, again, icons that are representing the toggle switches modes on the left bottom of the composition, of the UI itself. So again, you can lock the aspect ratio, or you get a number of presets that you can select. HD TV, for example, 39 FPS, 60 FPS, etc. You can change the color, the background color, using the color picker tool, which of course is accessible anywhere in the composition, including the software itself. Here you get the frame rate adjustment option characteristic. You got 29 all the way from 8 to 60 FPS. You can change. Here again, as you can see, it's accessible anywhere in the composition, the color picker tool. I really like this tool. It's a really handy tool. Even outside on the software, in the operating system itself, you can enable it to access all these different ranges of colors. So thank you very much. This has been the describing the UI tutorial. This was Mohammed Al-Saidi from MSAIDI'S Visualizers. And thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one.